Okay, this is the last of the glassing. This is the 2.5 ounce multi-directional glass, and that's because of the compound curve here. That stuff would shape right to it. It was like it was a rubber. Something I have to say though, with using the polyacrylic, something I forgot about was it's so lightweight. Like I said, it's like milk. It's the consistency of milk, where epoxy is quite a bit heavier, more honey-like, tends to hold the glass tighter to the surface. I forgot about this. What happens with this? Let me get this position. I'm getting older now. Sometimes I can't talk and chew gum at the same time. Or is that something else? Anyway, what happens is air, even though you've brushed it out, pockets of air can accumulate underneath. And what happens, why it does that, is because it's so thin that the product flows out from between the glass and the foam. And as a result, you wind up with little air pockets underneath. I forgot about that. So when I was finished, after it had dried the next morning, I discovered these air pockets, and then I remembered, when working with polyacrylic, the one thing you have to do, after about 20 minutes, and it looks so good, you don't believe for a second there's any air pockets under it. After about 20 minutes, you have to come back and you have to give it a second brushing. Because if you don't, then you won't get those air pockets. You won't even know they're there till the next morning. So fair warning, when working with polyacrylic, and for that one flaw, I'm not changing. See how this forms? This multi-directional glass just curved right around that like it was rubber, like a rubber glove. And like I said, 20 minutes from now, I'm going to go back. Well, this is, it started to get tacky. When this is starting to get tacky, and give it another brushing. Pretty good, eh? Flows right to it. A little more time to work out the second layer so there's no bubbles in it. Here's the glassing of the 0.75 ounce glass. Now this stuff is so thin. Normally I would have put a coat on here first of polyacrylic. But this stuff doesn't work well that way. All of this is pre-cut. And then I rolled it onto a piece of cardboard. Put a layer of varnish on first, polyacrylic. But it was too difficult to work with. In the end, I wound up tearing that piece off and cutting a fresh piece. I just roll it onto a piece of cardboard once it's cut. This is so much easier. Dry. And this penetrates right through this fine glass. There's no dry spots underneath. And this is just to give the foam a hardened surface to work with. This is the last piece to go on. I figured I'd show you this one because I've had practice. I should have showed you the first one. I had to peel off. The first one was the one I put the layer of polyacrylic on first and then tried stretching this into it. What a mess. It's so fine you can't pull it. Unlike 4 ounce or even 2.5 ounce I've done. But look at that. Now what is that? Chip of wood. Yeah. See what I mean here. The other thing, your hands get, well mine do, a bit gritty, I guess loose skin. When I started working with this, I had to sand my hands so they were smooth. Because otherwise when I went like this on them, they caught and they dragged and they pulled the feathered edges off. Now, right here, I'm going to take some 2 ounce, 2.5 ounce. I'm just going to roll those edges for 2.5 ounce. Same with this one here. These need a little bit more reinforcing. You can use the tip of the brush to pull out any little bumps or ripples. Another thing I have to do, as this dries, and it does dry quick, 1.5 to 2 hours, for the first half hour I will go over it and I will stroke it here because I want to make sure I get a good bond with the surface. Now, for my finish coats, you would never do that. It just creates a bit of a mess. What this does, by doing this, is it forces it down so you have a good tight bond with the foam surface. And I'll do this for about 15-20 minutes after I'm finished. If you're using it for a finish coat, obviously you would never do this. Finish coat, 1 stroke, 2 strokes. Beautiful finish. It does give you a nice finish, by the way. We've had 4.5 days where I've had to go outside with the snowblower and clear the driveway. I've got a fair-sized driveway. Snow squalls coming in off the ocean. And they come with so much snow, and it's that pellet stuff. Fortunately, it's been fairly cold, and it didn't plug up the blower. It blew fairly easily. But I'm telling you, you look at the radar map and there's nothing on it. Except you see these streamers coming in. You know you're going to get them. Until a few years ago, the ocean froze over. Here in the Gulf, froze between the island and Quebec and Montreal. but it doesn't freeze anymore. So you've got the cold air caused by the vortex coming across. The cold air is picking up the moisture from the ocean. Snow squalls. And these squalls can last 2-3 hours. You get a 70-80 kilometer wind behind them, you got a 4-foot drift, 5-foot drift. Today, the first sunny day we've had in a week. First day this week I haven't had, first day in a while I haven't had to blow snow. I don't know what's getting tired, my snowblower or me. I can tell you which one's older. It's not the snowblower. So nice to be inside. Heat. Turn on the radio. Been trying to convince him to build the Avro Aero. One of the most beautiful planes ever seen. Never went in, it only went into parcel production. I think there was a half a dozen built. Oh, gorgeous plane. So advanced way ahead of its time. New engines. It's destroyed because of politics. One Friday, 25,000 people lost their job. Because of politics. I used to watch the tests as they fly along the shores of Lake Ontario. I was only a kid then. What a treat that was to see that plane come along. It was a big plane. All the people that lost their job, they were all high tech. Engineers. They designed and built not just the Avro Aero, but missiles and so on. The Snark missile. If you can imagine a missile named the Snark. Oh well. It'd be really nice if Igor built them all. He says if he can get 6 sails, he'll build it. I'll buy one. I suspect there's a few other Canadians will too. Well, there we are. So now, 5-10 minutes from now, I'll come back and I'll stroke this all through again. And that's that. Next thing I'm going to do is start on the body. Give that a coat of glass as well. Always something to do. Looks good.